That I have to close that. Does not want to close. It closed. Welcome. I love you all with all my heart, all my soul, my body, my life, my Shakti. I love you all. I don't know what to talk to you about today. The energies have been moving through me so strongly the last few days. It sort of blew my brain out. It's a good place to be with a blown brain. No brain. Maria, are you on dope? You seem to be moving around a lot. I want to read you something. This is from David Spiro's first book. And there's a line or two from here and there that I like to read just to set the tone. The guy's 120 miles away from me, and I have to visit him someday. He's driving along the California coast northwards from, I believe it's Los Angeles, north towards the San Francisco area. I continued to drive to California coast, intoxicated by Mother's divine presence. I felt so possessed by her love that everything had been taken away from me, even my life. My breath was her breath. My inner self was her, the Atman. Yet even more than this was our unity, which went beyond the worlds and then still further out. I drove my van, and while driving, felt as though the entire van ascended out of the physical world. For almost 2 hours, I was driving on a highway in a state that completely excluded sensory perception. I was lost in her ocean, in her world. She showed me the paths of all the yogas in a brief fashion so that I could see they were only paths to the absolute and that I was beyond all of them. Within 5 minutes, she showed me that the path of Bhakti, or devotion, and how the immense pain of unfulfilled longing could catapult one into the Lord. Angela knows this longing, the pain of it, the separation, the crying, being unable to breathe, lost in immersion of the other. Nothing but pain, and in a shitty situation, in a shitty city. She's looking forward to homelessness so she would have some peace and quiet. Vijay's there, still waiting to be blasted by Shakti. He's been waiting for most of his life to be blasted by Shakti, and he only begins to open slowly, and he wants more. He longs for more. For his whole life, he's been longing for Shakti. And here, look at our satsang. Look at it growing. Look at women are finally coming. You can feel their energy. Look at them. Love them. Feel love in your heart for them. Feel desire for them. It's call and response chanting. The men sit across from the women, and the women from the men. And they're looking at each other, and they're chanting. They're chanting the name of God over and over again. Different names of God, and feeling the feminine across the room, lighting their heart. And the women are feeling the masculine across the room, feeling their hearts, their bellies, their wombs with male energy. And the whole room becomes ecstatic. The whole room's gripped in devotion and love. And beyond that is the chanting. The chanting stills the mind, and you go into emptiness. And you have this love, this devotion coming out of emptiness towards the other. And it's a completely relational love. It's not some sort of spiritual love towards the Divine Mother or towards God or some abstract concept. It's total love for some woman on the other side of the room, or some man on the other side of the room, or for the guru at the front. Then sometimes it's the other way around. The guru sits in the middle with a couple of his close students, and they call, and the rest of the satsang responds. That's the kind of chanting we just heard with Nityananda, the junior. I love you all. I can feel the ecstasies surrounding the satsang. I can feel your love. Some of you actually love me, and I love you. I love being here. At some point during satsang, or even before, I get gripped by Shakti, and it's no longer me speaking, but it's Shakti. I feel Enrique. I feel Ken. Tonita, I feel too. Mark won't be passed over easily. And Albert's feeling the Shakti. And Veselina in Hungary. No, in Bulgaria. And Padma. And Michael. And Walker. All of you are here. Max, Spencer, Maria, Sebastian, Catherine, Kathleen. There are so many paths, spiritual paths. But after 40 years of practicing, it became clear to me that the path for our time, and in the end surpasses all the others, just as David was talking about. All paths lead only to the absolute, and he was beyond even that. My path takes you through love and devotion and surrender of the self. You give yourself over completely to your beloved, whoever it is. You stretch out on the floor, devoted to your lover. You touch her feet or his feet, and you just cry out for his or her love, bereft of self. Only him, only her. You kiss their feet. And inside of you, you just want to die. You want to die being possessed by them, having them walk on you, crushing you with their feet that you had just kissed. You wanted to support their weight, their love, their energy with your body and have it crushed in the service of God. There's such longing here, such desire, intense longing. Longing and lusting for that which you do not have. Not only that, you look for your own love. Where is my own love? Have I given it away to another? Have I squandered it on another? Or is it still there, my love for the other, in that other and in myself? Can I feel the life force in the other? Can the other, my beloved, feel the life force in me and love the life force in me? I love you so much. I love you so much. If you can, try loving me back and get some of the energy returned to you. Feel my love. Feel the love of God, because they're one and the same. As I speak now as Shakti, I am saying you and I are one and the same. This longing for each other purifies us, makes all the nadis clear, opens all the chakras, fires all the chakras in unison, centered first in our sexual area, and then just above that, a womb for a woman, the hara for a man, then upwards into the heart. It's a golden triangle, from pussy to heart, from balls to heart. The energy flows and flows and flows from your sexual chakra to your heart, and then upwards into the brain. But in the heart, it flows out through your arms towards your beloved, whoever your beloved is. Throw your arms around him or her. Hold them close to you. Kiss them gently on the lips. Touch them gently on the face with your fingertips. Caress her whole body or his body. Feel the passion growing in your loins. Feel the electricity coming out of your anus. Feel the ecstasy grip your body in conjunction with your beloved. And if you don't have a beloved, select somebody at our satsang. And for the use of this satsang, love him and her with all that you can do. Love, love, and lust. Love and lust. They are two extremely powerful powers, forces within us that actually determine our lives. Are we not always looking for a loved object if we don't have one? Are we not looking for that perfect love affair with a lover, with the guru, with the teacher, with the pet even? And when the love starts flowing out of the heart, the sexual juices begin flowing also. And they become combined as a total love lust, focused on some entity, someone, some person, or a vision of God even. All of your chakras are firing and one pointed in one direction at one object, your beloved. Your whole body is screaming to be with your beloved, to be held by your beloved, consumed by your beloved. Having your beloved before you, bowing to your beloved, falling to the floor, kissing their feet, and saying to them, I worship you, I worship you, I worship you. For you are the life force in me, and I respect and love the life force in me. I remember a long time ago, maybe 6 years ago, I was with Dia in a hotel room when she was visiting, and I was telling her something about Robert and his trouble he got into in his sangha because of womanizing. And Dia said to me and looked at me, she says, spirituality is all about sex, isn't it? And I had to admit at that point, that's how I felt too, because it is a central feature of the Bhakti and of all energy teachers. I mean, some energy teachers suppress and sublimate sex, but natural sex, without tantric techniques, without the idea in mind to purify, but having sex with someone you love deeply, desperately, in worship, is the highest experience you can have prior to self-realization. And it's even beyond after a while. It gives rise to self-realization. And self-realization begets other realizations. The energy flows in your heart and upwards into the brain as energy, tickling and firing the brain, crashing into the bottom of the skull, trying to rip its way through to the chakras above. And all the chakras in you are spinning and spinning and spinning. The root chakra, your sexual chakra, the womb, your gut, your heart, your throat, the third eye, your skull, and 3 chakras above those, each about 8 inches or a foot apart, all yellow, burning bright, twirling, twirling, twirling. All the chakras in your body spinning in the same direction, feeling electrified energy throughout your whole body. More and more of it, more and more of it. Your brain's on fire with bliss. Your ass is on fire with bliss. Your legs and feet are on fire with bliss. Your heart is on fire with bliss. Your pussy and your dick are on fire with bliss. The woman's pussy calls to you when you get hard. And you speaking of your hardness makes her wetter. And we're all grabbed by Shakti. No, sex isn't everything in spirituality, but it's the one that can fire all the other chakras so easily without doing endless pranayama, without doing endless visualization of the kundalini moving up our spine an inch at a time from chakra to chakra and then going descending and ascending and descending and ascending and descending from one chakra to another. I find such exercises, although interesting and builds energy, are fantastically boring. But love and sex are natural. And by loving and having sex with someone you totally love and lust for, who you love with all your might, who you worship, who you surrender to, that kind of sex is an entirely different dimension. It takes you out of this mundane world, as David talked about, into Shakti, into the world of Shakti, where you're always glowing with Shakti. Angela's fighting this all the time, trying to stay into the world of Shakti instead of coming back to Amsterdam. I love you all. I'm sharing my Shakti with you. I hope you can feel it. You can feel my love in you, in your heart. Even Vijay. I wish everybody would send Vijay a shock of energy, a continuous shock, so he feels Shakti ways he never felt before. Send some to Vasilina too, who looks like she's in the dark right now. Send it to her. Enliven her. Fill her full of love. Fill her full of Shakti. Do the same for Padma. Fill her full of Shakti. Maybe you could descend from above through her brain and into her heart. I'm sure Tanita feels the Shakti of satsang today. She did last time, I think. And all of you, Michael and Maria and Max, who never moves, never makes a comment, except to give a thumbs up no matter what I ask. Are you dead yet, Max? See, Max is easy. Angela, are you still longing and lusting? Still firing all the Shakti? Moving it through your nadi? Moving it through your chakras? Kathleen, I can barely see you. We send our love to you. We send our Shakti to you. Same to you, Walker. Now get this. This is what I'm all about. I left Robert behind a long time ago because actually emptiness and the void get very, very boring. They may be peaceful, but as Sasaki Roshi said in one of his satsangs when I was there, enlightenment can be boring. You have ideas about what enlightenment is, and that you're always in ecstasy and enlightenment. But the enlightenment of Zen is towards emptiness, and it's not very exciting. Vasilina's come alive. She's in the light now. But from my point of view, why not use the two strongest forces available to human beings outside of the need to survive, the fight or flight mechanism when confronted by something that's frightening? Why not use love and combine it with sex? You don't have to have sex. All you have to do is think about having sex. And if you're in a distant relationships and you love each other and take care of each other, you tell each other how you want to fuck each other, how you want to have sex, how you want the lust you feel for another. Then you feel it in your whole body, your heart, your hands. Your hands radiate energy, so much so you can put them together and you can feel the energy merging in that space between the hands, touching each other, completing a circuit. And you can use energy in your hands like that for healing. Putting your one hand on one side and one on the other side of where it's injured on another person or on your own self. And do that for 15 or 20 minutes. When Dia was here, she gave us all a healing treatment with the hands cupped above. She even did that for our cats. For Kali, for an hour, she healed Kali. Kali was cuddled between her hands and she was sending healing energies. Dia is quite a healer too, world-renowned, makes a fortune at it. But these energies are available to all of us. And you can increase them by abiding with self, like finding the sense of being alive inside of you, alive below the mind where there's no thought, what Robert called the gap, and just abiding in that sense of beingness. And that will gradually reveal everything. And out of that beingness will emerge Shakti. And after Shakti emerges and stabilizes in you for some period of time, you'll realize that you are still separate from Shakti and from the world. That you are something altogether different, beyond all experiences, beyond Shakti, beyond love, beyond devotion. But for God's sakes, leave this to last and spend several years enjoying the Shakti. In every corpuscle of your body, let it electrify you. There is I posted about Dhyan Yogi and Asha Devi, his wife. She was 102 years younger than he is when he died. He died in 1994 at age 116. And that time she was probably around 14 when I knew her in 1976. That's the master and the devotee, the teacher and the devotee, the man and his woman, the woman and his man, the divine couple, holding hands and giving Shaktipat together. Holding hands next to each other, giving Shaktipat together. Dia and I used to do that when we had retreats in Los Angeles. Sometimes she would kiss their feet and I would touch their foreheads. And sometimes it would be the other way around. The Indians hated that because it's blasphemy in their culture to kiss the feet of a devotee. Right, Vijay? I'd kiss your feet. I'd touch your forehead. I'd even give you a big fat kiss on your mustache. I love you. Feel the Shakti. Feel my love. Padma, I love you. Veselina, you know I love you. But you're so frightened of loss. Michael, I love you too. Your bushy head, your wondering eyes, and Spencer, and Sebastian, and Walker, and Enrique, of course, Enrique. The heavenly Enrique, who goes into samadhi when he hears my voice. And Ken, in cold Canada, but Vancouver's not that cold, is it? It's like Santa Monica. I should live there, not in this hellhole. It's 48 degrees centigrade today. Antonita knows all about that. What is it, 90 in Sedona? 95? It's fucking hot though, isn't it? We'll get to you later, Mark. I'm going to pick on you later. And Albert, I love you. I love your continuous winding in Shakti. It's all about Shakti. This path that I'm showing you is about Shakti. For 27 years, I tried to gain the void, the emptiness, and that which is beyond the void and emptiness. And I had 2 awakenings about 2 weeks apart after Robert left. And they were world-shattering to me at the time. But I had no idea the kind of awakening that happens when Shakti comes alive in you, not just irradiating your body with energy and love and bliss, but when you can see Shakti in yourself as she emerges from yourself as a separate being, as God, and you can worship her separately. What an experience to find God emerging from yourself and worshiping her. And in me, she was a figure, like a woman's figure, but not really. Sort of the general outline of a woman. In blinding white light, with infinite power, she came out of my belly, ascended through my heart, my throat, my third eye, my brain, and went above, outwards. And I felt such power inside of me. I've never felt power like that. I never felt power like that. So I knew it couldn't be me. This is far beyond me. And it was it, him, her. I didn't see Shakti as feminine. I didn't see really Shakti as masculine. I just saw it as energy and love, but mostly as energy. The love attracted Shakti, but the energy was the result. It electrified my whole being. And it came because I loved a woman. I loved a woman and surrendered totally to that woman. She gave me Shaktipat. And she wasn't a guru. She was an ordinary woman, but she wasn't ordinary. She was extraordinary in her love, in her ability to express her love, in her ability to love me, and to have simultaneous movements of energies in our hearts and about it. We would swoon together with the energies and the love and the lust. She would have constant orgasms. And back then I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to have them. But now I can. I don't move as much as she did. I don't yell out as much as she did. But I have them. Almost constantly, or at least when I'm talking to somebody. I can feel them inside of me wanting to come out. And after Dia was here for a month last year, suddenly the Shakti in me strengthened and began flowing out of control. And the control that I had, I didn't want. And it just reached outwards everywhere to everybody and touched them and brought them closer to me. I love you all. Are there any questions? Any criticisms? Any comments? Since there are none, I'll blab on. Is there anything anybody wants me to speak about specifically?
I have a question, Ed.
Sure.
So backing up a little bit what you said not long ago, like the phases that you went through, and it wasn't until you really loved and surrendered to a woman that that the Shakti started to come. And I think what's confused me, since I've been feeling this energy most of my life, to go to certain teachers who clearly have some level of realization, but they don't, either they experience it or they experience the energies minimally or they dismiss them. But it almost seems like...
That's mostly the Advaita teachers, like Ramana and Nisargadatta and Robert Adams. They don't deal with energies. It's a different path, a path of going to the absolute, of finding the source and resting in the source. It's a path of peace. It's like Buddhism. It's a path of disappearance of the self. They go into nothingness and find safety and peace in nothingness. I think it's a nothingness path. I get nothing out of that. Now, I began experiencing energies when I first started practicing back in probably about 1740, whenever I started. That's a joke. But when I went to Mount Baldy, all those energies stopped. All the energies, the kundalini and the pain in the spine and the electricity going over my head and back into my heart, all of that stopped. And I stopped having kundalini phenomena. And it disappeared until I fell in love in 2009. And then had that awakening maybe within 6 months or a year, maybe a year and a half, I don't remember. After we broke up, when we separated, all those energies I had projected into her, all that love and idealization I had projected into her, all that energy I had projected into her came back into me. And as a rebound, Shakti showed herself to me. Shakti showed herself to me. I don't know how I lost my picture, your picture there. Did you disappear? You're not there anymore. I guess I blew her away. Vasilina, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I have. Because I feel like I don't understand the difference. No, not the difference, but I'm not sure what Shakti is. And when I go inside and stand by myself, I almost always lose this energy and I feel only emptiness and nothing, like wind.
Wind blowing through your chest and heart?
Wind in my belly. And I almost don't have any sensations except how my body works. And I'm not sure if this is an emptiness or this is a numbness or dullness, something like this.
Well, I can't tell since I'm not experiencing what you're experiencing. But the experience of emptiness feels like when you feel inside and you look inside yourself without having the mind, everything seems quiet and flat. And all objects feel like your body permeated by this emptiness as an underlying field, an underlying isness or beingness. Shakti then comes into the body and makes you aware of the various parts of your body, but it's still done in emptiness. You still feel the void around you as that emptiness, and the world, and especially your body at first, feels like a hologram, like it's emptiness, and there is this body of light and of feeling, which is superimposed on the emptiness. Then given this, the Shakti comes from emptiness, goes through your body and disappears into the emptiness. And Shakti sometimes feels like electricity, a little bit like electricity, but more often it feels like love moving through you in energy streams, through your heart, through your womb, through your pussy, through your neck, into your third eye, into the crown chakra, exploding into your brain, and giving your brain an electrocution, a headache, so to speak, for a long period of time. And the emptiness and the Shakti go together, because the more empty you are, the more you can hold on to the Shakti. So though you feel that sometimes it's emptiness with no Shakti, and sometimes it's Shakti with no emptiness, they will eventually go together. And you'll have incredible Shakti within emptiness and in your body. It's a progressive thing. You've only been doing this for a few weeks. Do you have any further questions? Did that solve it for you?
No, yeah, it's fine. No, I just was wondering why but probably mine is, I'm very closed and numb. I feel numb, like I can't experience.
Well, I know what's happened with you because of your living situation. It's been very repressive and tamping you down, tamping your emotions down, tamping your energies down. And the numbness is like an anesthetic that's been supplied by society and your parents and your living situation. That's the numbness you feel. That will go away just by attending to it and feeling the Shakti. The Shakti knocks the concepts out of your brain. And they've been knocking the concepts out of your brain, your expectations, as you call them, so that you don't have any more expectations. And when you don't have any more expectations about the external reality or yourself, you begin seeing a different kind of world, a world constantly in motion, a world of energies where the lamp and the light outside and the chair next to you are all energetic phenomena. And your emotions inside of you are the same way. They're energetic phenomena. And you can feel them heavy sometimes in your heart until you begin to hold them there and examine them. And they can come apart and they fall apart like into a puddle and they wash away. Big emotions like fear or depression or sadness or jealousy. I have a hard time with jealousy. But depression and fear, examined in your heart, can dissipate into nothingness. And then you feel enormous energy in your body as that energy, as that emotional energy is absorbed by your whole body. And you can feel that for days afterwards, after, so to speak, passing an emotion. Using the analogy of shitting out an emotion, having chewed it up and shit it out. I hope I'm getting crude enough to you people that you know how raw spirituality can be. And you don't talk in nice words, you talk in raw words. You want to touch everything in another person, not just their intellectual comprehension and their desire to be talked to sweetly, but want the full energy support. the full blasting of energies. You went away, Tanita, for a while. I didn't see you. Do you want to finish your question?
Oh,
You got me rambling.
The laptop died for a moment, and I'm sorry I missed what you were saying, but that last bit, when you were talking about the progression that happens, that at some point you get to a place, I have to feel into it as I speak about it, where the more that you anchor in the stillness, the emptiness, the energy, it's like it creates a clear space that the energy can just, like, yes, it has more room. And then I'm really at a loss for functioning. Like, I think, okay, I'm going to be really steady. I'm just going to let everything run through. And then it does. And then I'm totally out. So sometimes it feels like a catch-21, like you want to keep doing the work, but trying to find that balance of staying somewhat functional during the day.
No, don't bother.
Don't bother. Okay.
A lot of us suffer from that. I suffer from this dysfunction way too. All that I can do is talk to a few people, do a lot of writing, fail at cleaning the house altogether, do a cat box once in a while. But I'm dysfunctional. I couldn't give a shit about functioning. I don't give a shit about money. I don't give a shit about anything except love. And when you're in that way, it's not easy to be functional.
I've been there a lot lately, Ed. I'd actually like to talk to you about that.
Talk to Angela about that too, and Vesselina. They know a lot about that. Feel free to talk to them too, if they'll talk to you. They know that. I know it. I love being dysfunctional. I'm a special needs person.
That makes me so happy, I can't even tell you.
You're in Sedona, right? I should be visiting up there to meet David Spiro sometime in the next few weeks or so. Maybe I can see you when you're up there.
I'd love that. I did write you, but I didn't hear back yet. Maybe because you've been unfunctional. You've been high in the Shakti.
What was the name on the email?
Advaita.tonita. First, last, inverted.
Okay.
At Gmail.
Sometimes if an email is very long and I can't think of a simple answer, I don't answer at that time thinking I'll do it later and put it in the unread category. But sometimes I don't see it. So can always ask questions here and write me again. We haven't been deliberately avoiding you at all.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sure, Ed. As usual, I have my piece to say. Firstly, I would like to say that I'm progressing nicely. I feel the gap, as you call it, or the Shakti presence, more and more stable and accessible to me during my day-to-day functioning. It feels both very, very spacious and very, very dense, and it seems to be made of like hyperdimensional blissons, which are infinitesimally tiny and composed of a density of bliss that the more I abide in it, the more it stretches on and on into infinity.
Yes.
And this has always been the feeling I've had, except it's getting clearer, the overall nature, like more of the picture is coming through. And a lot of times in my day-to-day functioning, it seems like a canopy surrounding me, and it has a definite architecture to it. And when I abide in it, I feel like I'm one. I am one with this force field of blissons. And there's a dark quality to it because I've always been attracted to the evening or the nighttime. And I think that's due to my soul personality. But seems to be burning with embers of bliss, and it's always exactly right, and at times it's exceedingly subtle, but
And at
that's
times it's very heavy too.
yeah, at times it's like ecstatically euphoric, but it's always seems to be what I need at that moment, and it seems to be working its way so as not to burn me out, so as to be of a constant presence.
Are you dysfunctional?
A lot of people think I'm a little bit nuts.
But dysfunctional. Do you feel dysfunctional?
I felt dysfunctional for much of my life, so maybe I've already burnt a lot of that karma, dealt with a lot of that karma. I'm actually more functional now than I was when I was younger, because I was born with a type of learning disability, and I've not fit into the society, and I suffered greatly from a young age due to my father mostly not accepting me as a package, as a human being with lopsided strengths and weaknesses. But I eventually found my way, and if you mean dysfunctional, like do I just zone out into the nothingness, into the blissfulness? Yes.
No, I meant dysfunctional.
No.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
I used to, for 8 years, I was with Robert, 7 of them in Los Angeles, and I would go to lunch with him every Thursday. And we'd be together for maybe 2 hours, maybe a little longer. Maybe do some errands afterwards, do some shopping for his wife, or go to the bank and make a bank deposit. Then we went to Follow Your Heart, a veggie restaurant in Canoga Park. And after I had seen him, I felt so heavy, like my body weighed 800 pounds. And I'd have to go home, and I'd go to sleep for 3 or 4 hours. And I'd be totally dysfunctional after I got up. And it was this way every Thursday. It began lightening after I had been with him for maybe 5 years, but it was always there. And I know my students, I had some students in Los Angeles who I'd go to lunch with or to the coffee with. And after I had spent 2 hours with them, they couldn't go home. They had to fall asleep in their car for 2 hours or 3 hours before they could go home, because they became totally dysfunctional. They went into sleep. When we had a satsang here in last September or October, we all became dysfunctional because the Shakti was so strong. We didn't want to move. We became the special needs satsang. So dysfunctionality, Tanita, is to be respected and loved. Love your...
I was hoping it would come to an end at some point, but you're telling me it doesn't, so...
It hasn't come to an end in me. I do a lot of writing on blog writing and a lot of talking to people. But outside of that, I don't want to do anything. I don't care about anything. I'm not interested in anything. I could lose this house, my mother's house, all of these possessions, and be very happy on the golf course if it was under 100 degrees. I would be happy homeless. Any other questions? Any other people? Angela, do you have anything to say?
I don't think so.
Sure you do. Say something.
Just that what you've been talking about today, every word is my world, so I recognize it all. I don't have so much interesting to share, I guess.
Go on, try.
I'm just bursting with this suffering of because of my longing to surrender and my longing for total love, and the love and the longing and the loss is just exploding today. And those and I'm very much pulled into two directions at the same time, because I have to look for a job. I'm giving up my home. I want to give up actually most, if not all, my stuff that I own, and I don't have a fucking clue what I will do. So I'm scared to death as well, and I'm pulled into two directions of actually only longing to sit still and abide, and actually not having any time to do this when I would be responsible, because of the risk of losing everything and having to save myself in the world as well. So.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have anything to say, but it was very poignant what you did say. We feel for you. I feel very, what would you call it, concerned about your situation and how you'll get out of it. But you assured me you will.
It's quite interesting, because actually I very consciously chose to be in this situation, because I chose to go towards that edge of being frightened to survive and learning to be in surrender and trust, and therefore go beyond the mundane fear and the mundane way of planning, learning to trust the divine. But now I'm in the middle of it. I go into my old help, because it's quite scary.
When I read from David's, where he went into the different world, ascended into Shakti, so to speak, into her world, did that resonate with you? Comparing that to the mundane world? For those who are not used to our conversation, we talk about the mundane world, which is the world of going to school, paying rent, eating food, preparing food, all that kind of stuff, bills, and being ordinarily immersed in everyday activities. And the world of the divine love, and feeling Shakti all the time. Feeling embraced by Shakti, loved by Shakti, and the world taking on an entirely different appearance, no longer solid, but constantly moving, impermanent and changing. Every moment when you don't feel time anymore, and you look around, everything seems different from the way you thought it was. Your concepts are blown, Veselina. Your mind is blown of concepts, because the world you see without your mind is very different than the world with the mind. When you're just into your beingness without the mind, the world has a different feel. And when you're filled with love and Shakti, and you're filled with sexuality and lust, and your brain is a fire, and your body's a fire with the energies. You live in a different world, a different universe.
Yes, but you still have to function and make a living. And these days, I often feel that I have to look for a job, but I can hardly hold a cup and can hardly connect to people on this mundane level.
Well, I told you how to solve that problem. Have it be a donation cup and a little sign that says totally spiritually disabled or killed by Shakti or something like that. Donations gratefully accepted. And get on a busy street corner where all the tourists are in your baggiest clothes with an empty whiskey bottle next to you and beg for help. That'll kill your ego even more. But you might make some money at it. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Sure.
You know, I'm having flashbacks to years ago where I would do my morning Bhagavad Gita reading or something to get me started into bliss of some sort, and then didn't go with it. But I'd have to do my daily maintenance or else I'd lose touch. And when I'd have time off work, I would just sometimes be taken by it, sometimes have to power through it. And when it would be a long flat period, I'd really have to work to power through it. These days, I'm lazy about that. If I don't feel like it, I just don't do too much. I listen to some chants and hope it happens. What's the right attitude there? I mean, I've had a strange relationship with effort. I don't know. There was a time when effort was what you were supposed to do when things weren't seeming to go anywhere, to avoid being distracted by the nonsense of the world, and you should just get focused on it. Would you teach that as well when it seems to be a dry or distracting period?
No.
I didn't think so.
I'd say let go. If nothing happens, nothing happens. If you're starving in the streets, that's what happens. But you make effort when you're forced to do effort or where effort is absolutely needed, but stay with the bliss as much as possible.
And what about when you don't stay with the bliss, when you're just like out of touch with it and it's just not there? And
then
should you sit and meditate and read and chant and stuff?
At that time, I would just try to find myself, to find the being, the state, and sink into your heart and into your gut and into your dick, the lower part of your body. So the center of gravity goes down into your body, down, down. So you get out of your head. And once you're out of your head, the bliss comes almost, the Shakti and the bliss both come almost automatically.
And do you think there's a place for working through?
What?
Because if I try to follow that simple and direct instruction, sit and sink down, I can often be so wrapped in my mind, it just won't happen for a long time. Do you think there's a place for working through specific issues before you could come out again into enough clarity to be able to sink down? Or is that just bullshit you just avoid getting involved in?
Yeah, you're getting involved in it and you're just procrastinating. You'll stay in it forever. Just follow my second instruction. Fall in love. You're surrounded by tantric girls all the time. Fall in love. Just fall deeply in love, passionately in love, surrender in love. Totally. It's so easy. It's easier than falling off a log. Just get your dick involved. Get your heart involved. Totally surrender. Totally love somebody. But I don't think you're capable of it right now. But I wish you would be. That's your easiest path. That will take you where you want to go. But if you're too frightened of that kind of depth of relationship where you surrender everything to the other person, it's going to be hard. Somebody just has to grab you and take you. Overwhelmingly. I don't want to hear this story, Tonita, but I guess I should.
No, which I'm just laughing in general at what you're saying. I'm loving it.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'll take that in.
Yeah, I'll take it, but you want something more. It'll come later. More will come. Okay, enough time for one more question. One more.
Ed,
Who's brave enough? There we go, Michael.
I'm finding myself being able to connect with the witness more, like when my eyes are open through the day and I'm contemplating, and when I meditate, I'm sort of smothered in darkness. Should I just hang in and stay more conscious and go that away and back off my meditating, or just power through my meditation as well?
I hate that term power. It sounds so effortful. Can you sit in a yogic position in Padmasana? I forget it. Cross-legged?
I can try, but it's kind of painful.
Can you do it the Japanese way?
I sit in a chair, flat-footed.
Okay. Will tend to drift off with that kind of weak position.
Okay.
You get someplace where you can balance your back off of the spine, even sitting forward in a chair with your hands in front of you. You get more power into your sitting. The darkness will easily dissipate.
Okay.
But I wouldn't work through anything. Work means you're making an effort. And how can you make an effort towards liberation when you don't know what liberation is, how it feels, what the direction is? So instead, if you're not going to meditate, just lay back in your chair and relax and let whatever happens, happens. But try to be inside of your body as much as possible. The more familiar you are with the feelings inside of your body, the movement of the diaphragm, the movement of air in and out of your lungs, the movement of your bowels and your stomach, and when the urine's building up and you have to pee, or your sexual feelings, or the feelings of energies in your hands, anything like that, the pressure of your body against the chair, you begin to make the transition away from identification with the physical body and transitioning into identifying with your internal subtle body or the spiritual body. Then when the transition to the spiritual body takes place, you no longer consider the physical body your primary identity, yet it's still a form that has to be protected. And the more you sit in your spiritual body, in that subtle body, the more the energies start coming, and the more the emotions start coming, and the more things will be presented to you in the external world to pique your interest and draw your attention, sometimes for ill and sometimes as an aid to enlightenment, like a guru or a love affair or something like that. Max, you haven't said anything at satsang for the last 27 years. Will you ever say anything? Max is what has happened to the Teutonic race over the last few centuries. It's gone downhill. They used to be masters of the universe and supermen, and now look, they're physicists and chemists that are making their own marijuana or other drugs. Maria, I haven't heard from you. You're new. you have anything to say?
Hi. um, well, I think all everybody say about feeling. I don't speak English very well, so it's gonna be a little hard for me. But okay, I'm nervous. I'm sorry, really sorry. That thing, this feeling, their energy about the sex, about the love, is I think for me in my life move me because yeah, everything is this in kind of point, you know, and here the people. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Okay, you can pass. Write it down for next time and then give a speech.
Okay, sorry.
Right now, I'm going to end the satsang, the usual recorded part, and I wanted to read you something to give you more energy if it does. But I'm ending the recording right now. But you won't be able to